So we're going to move on to Chasing After You. And I'm sure all of you remember this song. I'm chasing after you, no matter what I have to do. 'Cause I need you more and more. I'm chasing after you, no matter what I have to do. 'Cause I need you more and more. I'm chasing after you. I need you. Okay, now we're moving on to everybody's favorite song, I Know Who I Am. So I'm going to call up Sarah and my mom to come up to sing.
La paix avec nous. On a dit bon Dieu merci. Vendredi passé, pendant que je suis avec mon malade, même pas de chita, même obéi à chita. Et puis pendant que chita, on allait plus loin, m'écrit chanson. Parce que il est toujours nécessaire pour qu'on commence pour dire bon Dieu merci. Dans toutes circonstances, dans tout ça qui passe dans la vie, toujours dire merci. Par là, dire toutes choses concourent au bien de ceux qui aiment Dieu. Tout ça qui vaut dans la vie, bon Dieu, on est pour qui vit. Il y a raison de pas questionner parce que lui-même est contribué de la vie. So I'm going to sing that song. Every day before I sleep, I say thank you, God. Every one of you always say thank you to God. Wherever you are, every minute when you wake up on the morning, you don't even expect some time to wake up. Some people in the hospital, they don't even have time to wake up. But you should say thank you, Lord. Every day before I sleep, I say thank you, Lord. Every day when I'm away, I say thank you, Lord. Every day when I'm working, I say thank you, Lord. And every day when I'm breathing, I say thank you, Lord. You give me life, you save me from disaster. You give me hope, you fill my emptiness. You give me strength, oh Lord, when I need it you most. Oh Lord, God to thank you. Every time when I think how much you care for me. Every time when I think how much you do for me. And every time when I think many times you have saved me, Lord, and I still don't know how to thank you. You give me life, hallelujah, to save me of disaster. You give me hope. You fill my emptiness. You give me strength, Lord, when I needed you the most. No one knows how I do want to live all my life in the house of the Lord, to speak His precious name, to magnify His greatest name. There is no other way, and I can thank you. Oh, I am happy. I am just like you. You give me life. That's
Amen. So next I'm going to call out Sister Vanessa to come up to sing this song.
Praise the Lord, church. Praise the Lord. God is good. All the time. All the time. God is good. This is the air I breathe. This is the air I breathe. Your holy presence living in me. This is my daily prayer. This is my daily prayer. You're there everywhere, spoken to me. And I'm desperate for you. And I'm lost without you. This is the air I breathe. Ooh. This is the Your holy presence living in me. This is my daily bread. This is my daily bread. Your very word spoken to me. And I'm desperate for you. And I'm lost without you. And I'm desperate for you. And I'm lost without you. This is the air I breathe. This is the air I breathe. Your only presence living in me.
Praise the Lord. So next we're gonna sing Withholding Nothing. I taught you guys how to sing it last time, so. I surrender all to you. Everything I give to you. I surrender all to you. Everything I give to you. Withholding nothing, withholding nothing, I surrender all to you. Everything I give to you. I ask you to begin to go on your knees, to pray to the Lord. Make sure you are withholding nothing. Give it all to the Lord. Give everything to the Lord.
Father, as you see on the bottom of our hearts, we come together this morning in this building to surrender everything to you. We want to give you all our lives without trying to hold anything, without trying to hide anything. Because we know that you know all of us, then we know ourselves, because you are our creator. You are our God. You are our Redeemer. You are our Lord and Savior. We thank you for the privilege to be in your holy presence, Lord, to worship you and give you all the glory. Lord, thank you for Jesus Christ, our Savior, who gave his life on the cross to give us eternal life. We have received the salvation for free. We don't have to pay anything back. We just have to give our life to you. We just have to be our servant. We just have to be your children. We just have to have a fellowship with you. We just have to hope that the day will come, and according to the way we serve the Lord, we will be part of those who will go with Jesus in the heaven. We thank you, God, for everything we receive from you. We have been blessed from you every single day. You take care of us all the step of the way. We really appreciate it. We ask you, please, to forgive our sins, because we did things that is not good in your presence, and we regret. Ask you, God, to forgive our sins and to allow us to keep a good relationship with you. Everybody here, we know, come to look for your presence, your blessing, your forgiveness, and to listen to your word. Please bless your church. Bless everybody who come forward to glorify your name, and help us to continue to serve you until the day comes when Jesus will take his church, to which we are belonging, and then we all will go with him together. This is our hope, and help us to keep it alive, because we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. You may be seated. We are going to listen to the word of God. I'm so pleased to see young guys in the church without asking too much from them, and they come forward to willfully to let God speak to them and share the word with us. I believe in the future, I believe that God will provide. I believe that God will use one of them to continue for the ministry to preach the word of God. And Isaac, since 2 months ago, started to his ministry as a preacher. And I think that for his dad and mom would teach him the way. And when I speak to him personally, I see his faith. And I see his understanding about the word of God. And I see the way he wants to go. So keep praying for him and for all the youth people in the church. And it is a pleasure for me to introduce you once again, Isaac, who is going to share with you the word of God.
Alright guys, that was a blessing service, with all the songs and everything. They really touched my heart. And the songs not only touched my heart, but as I was listening to them, I realized how they were working around my sermon. Because I had planned a sermon and everything to say today. And I was listening to the songs and I was like, this song is talking about what I'm talking about. This song is talking about what I'm talking about. And that's when it really opened my eyes to show me that God had really given me this message. So I want to ask you guys, do you guys really know what it means to surrender all, to give everything, withholding nothing? Because that's a big thing. Like, you're singing it, you're saying the words, you're crying, tears are coming from your eyes, but do you really know what it means? Because a lot of times, I'm looking at my life when I'm singing the song and I'm just like, am I giving everything? Am I surrendering all to the Lord? Am I giving him everything? Because I realize in my life, when I'm doing something, God doesn't have enough importance in it. He doesn't have enough time in my life. You see, when you go through your life, you can watch a movie for 2 hours. And if you want to watch another movie that's 4 hours, you can watch a movie for it. You can just watch movies for that time. But how long can you spend talking to God? How much time do you spend on your phone? How much time do you spend on your computer doing other stuff instead of spending time with God? You know how important God is? Especially when you go to work. Your work, you make sure to get there on time. You make sure to be on work on time because what are you getting? Money. Oh, I'm going to take care of my family. I have to do this, I have to do that. But there's a verse in the Bible that says, what does a man gain the world but lose his soul? If you lose your soul, what was this money for? I was reading the book of Ecclesiastes. I actually started to read my Bible a lot more. And when I was reading the book of Ecclesiastes, it says, it was talking about Solomon. Solomon was like, I've done everything. I've worked hard, made my fortune, but what is it all worth? I'm going to have to give it to somebody. They can be stupid and waste my money, do whatever they want with it, and I worked harder for myself. And he was like, what am I supposed to do? And when you read the book of Ecclesiastes, it talks about basically your life is worth nothing unless you serve God. Unless God is in your life, unless you have something, because you're fighting for eternal life. What is that small $800, $2,000, $4,000 when you have eternal life of happiness, of goodness in your life? Surrender it all. Surrender it all. Give everything. That time you can spend watching a movie. That time you said, I'm bored. The time you spent talking on the phone with your friends like, oh, okay, I'm bored. Let me find something to do. Hang out. Talk to God. Read your Bible. Get to know him more. Get to know him more. Talk to him. How is a friendship built? You know when you first meet somebody and you're like, let me talk to them. I want to get to know them. You be like, hey, my name's Isaac. Can I get your number or whatever? And then you start talking to them. You start talking to them. Start building a relationship. You think it's any different with God? You expect God to do so many things for you, but you're not talking to him. How is he your friend to do this for you? When I ask my friend for a favor, I have a good friend, Louis. I'll be like, yo, Louis, I'm hungry. Give me some food. I'll pay you back. He does it for me right there. He has it. If he needs to pick me up, bring me somewhere, my friend Louis will always do it for me. Because we built that friendship up to where we can trust each other, where we can do things for each other. It's the same thing with God. You got to get on your knees. You got to talk to him. You have to speak to him. You have to show him that you're his friend. I want to do what you need me to do. Because you always want to do what your friends ask you to do. Oh, let's go to this party. Let's go to this place. Let's go do this. And be like, bet, let's go do it. Let's go do it. That's the same thing with God. God doesn't want you to do this. God doesn't want you to do that. But you have to follow him. And that's when you really have to know when God is on your side. That's what my message is about. God being on your side. How do you know God is on your side? Because when God is on your side, there's nothing that you can't face. There's nothing that you can't do. I was reading the book of Samuel. My guy David. We were singing about how David danced, prayed. My guy David was a good guy. I liked him. I liked him a lot. Reading his story, reading his book. He was a beast. He was the best. Like, you want to be David. You're like, David was handsome. He was nice. Everybody, when he was fighting Goliath, the guy looked at him. He was like, this guy's handsome. It makes me hate him. And he's not even big like me. And he was like, it made him hate him because he was handsome. And it was just like, you want to be like David. He was a man of God. He was humble in what he was doing. Let me read 1 Samuel 17, 34 to 36. David said to Saul, your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion or bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, rescued from the sheep from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair, struck it, and killed it. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. This uncircumcised Philistine will be one of them, because he had defiled the armies of the living God. So let me fill you on what was happening before all this happened, where David had to come beat up Goliath because he was talking too much about God. So Saul, he wasn't always a bad guy. You know, Saul was a good guy. God saw favor in his eyes. But at a certain point in time, Saul started doing things his own way. He started wanting to do stuff his own way. And I never read the book of Samuel before. And I was like, what did Saul start doing that made him start defying God? So I'm reading the book, and then it's like Saul, he told him to kill this village and kill everybody in it. Don't leave anybody alive. Don't leave anything, kill everything. That seems pretty simple, right? Destroy everything, leave nothing. Saul goes to the place, he's like, okay, they have good cattle, they have good sheep. I'm not going to keep the king, I'm going to keep him. You see, he started thinking for himself. It was clear instructions, destroy everything. That's it, destroy everything. But Saul wanted to start thinking his own way. He was like, let me leave the sheep, they're good, we can use that, and let me keep the king. Why is he keeping the king? What is the king going to do for him? He wants to keep him as a prisoner? See, that's how he shows you what Saul wasn't thinking about what God said. Samuel told him clear. He was like, destroy everything. But he didn't want to do anything. So God told Samuel, I love Saul, but this man, he's denying everything I have to do. He's not listening to me. He's not doing what I have to say. So God sent Samuel to go find Saul, from the sons of Jesse. So my guy Samuel, he comes through and he goes to Jesse and be like, one of your sons is supposed to be anointed. And then he shows him all his sons. He's looking at him, oh, this guy must be. His first son that he showed him, he like, this guy must be the guy. And then God was like, nope, that's not him. I reject him. God does not look a man by the outer appearance, but what's in his heart. So he's going through all his sons. There's 7 of them. And he rejects all of them. And just the father's like, damn, all my kids are ashamed. And then the Samuel asked him, do you have any more kids? And he was like, I have one more kid, the youngest. He's in the fields. He's a shepherd. You see what he did? He didn't call his son by his own name. He called him by the actions that he did, by the stuff he was doing. A lot of times in your life, people won't talk to you by your name. They'll call you by the stuff that you do. Oh, you mean so-and-so, the person who stole this? The person who did this? Oh, you mean that lady in the church? She's not too tall. She's a little fat. You know, you start talking to people by their actions. You don't talk to them by their name anymore. You start describing people by what's wrong with them. And that's what people try to do. You didn't see when Jesus was a baby? They tried to kill him because he was a baby. People try to kill things when it's in its weakest state. People want to take you out when it's still time, when you're still growing in God. That's when people want to attack you. So my guy, David, he comes to, they was like, all right, go get him. And his brothers are mad because he was like, wow, it's not me. I'll be mad too. So he gets them, and then he was like, we're not eating or sitting until David gets here. And his brother's like, dang, I'm hungry. I want to go do something. I want to do something. I want to be anointed or whatever. And then they get David. You see what happened? They sent for David. David didn't have to do anything. He was doing what he was meant to do, where God put him, and they called for him. So David comes in the house. He gets anointed. And then he's asking him. He's saying, oh, you're anointed to be the king of Israel. Okay, so me, if I was David, I would be like, so we leaving today? We're going on the carriage? But no, it's a process. What did David do? He went back to the sheep. He had a job that he was doing, and he stuck with it. He went back to the place that God had originally put him, because there was a process. If it was me, I would have left with Samuel that day. I was like, I'm king. So another situation arises, because Saul wants to do what he wants to do. God sends spirits to torment him. And then Saul's like, what can I do to stop these spirits from tormenting me? He was like, okay, we'll find somebody who can play the instrument, and then they can torment the spirits that are tormenting you. And then Saul was like, do you know anybody? And he was like, there's a son of Jesse named David. Look at that. Look at that. You see, David is being sent for again, because he was where God put him. You see, a shepherd wasn't like a great job back in the day. You're just watching sheep, doing nothing. Sometimes you have to protect them from the animals. It's not a high-class job where everybody would be like, oh, you're doing this? That's a great job. See, sometimes we have to stay where God has put us. Sometimes we're always wondering, why am I in this situation? Why am I here? Because God has you there. It's a process. It's a process. God doesn't just take people, boom, boom. Sometimes. But he doesn't, there's a process most of the time. God takes you and he goes, boom, he puts you there. He has to take you slowly. He has to take you slowly. So what would happen was David came to the palace. He was playing the flute for Saul, and he's watching the sheep. He has 2 jobs now. Just because he got a new job, he didn't abandon where God had put him. He's still doing both jobs. He's helping Saul. You see? And David didn't come to the kingdom and was like, oh, did you know I'm going to be the king of Israel next? He didn't say that. He kept it to himself, because that was the thing that God had told him. He was humbled. He was like, my king, how can I help you? My king, how can I help you? He was humble in what he was doing. He wasn't trying to attack Saul, be like, oh, I'm going to be king. I don't care about you. He did what Saul needed him to do. He played the flute, tormented the spirits of the person that he was serving. How many of you torment the spirits of the people that you care about? I know a lot of us, we don't like to do anything. We like to stay home, do nothing. Sometimes you got to torment the spirit of the people who loves you. What torments your parents? They got some dishes in the sink. The house is dirty. The bathroom is dirty. You got to clean it for them. You torment the spirit of the people that you care about, the people that respect you, the people that gave you an opportunity. Because they've been giving you opportunities their whole life, taking care of you, putting you in school. They didn't have to do that. They could have been like, I don't care about you, but they care about you. So you torment the spirits that torment your parents, because you can never pay them back. So my guy David, he's tormenting the spirits that are tormenting Saul, a man of God. Because David still, in his eyes, saw Saul as a man of God. Because if you go throughout Samuel, I'm going to get there, you're going to see how David still sees him as a man of God. So David is going back home, and his father was like, oh, I need you to bring some food to your brothers in the war. See, if David wasn't humble, he would be like, oh, me? I work in the palace now. You expect me to bring food to my brothers? No way. Find somebody else to do it. Send a servant. But no, he has David, his son. And David, what did he do? He sent somebody to watch the sheep. He asked somebody to watch the sheep. Because where God had put him, he didn't just leave it. He put somebody there to watch over it. You see that? Just because God moves you doesn't mean to leave a job undone. Because when you leave something, it gets destroyed. Just like when you have a Sunday school, if the teacher leaves. what happens? It slowly starts to destroy. They didn't wait to find somebody else. They didn't wait to take somebody else to take their spot. But it destroyed because they left it. But David didn't do that. He found somebody else to take his spot. He found somebody to take his position to do that. So David goes to the war. David goes to the war, and then he goes to bring his brother some food. And he's walking by. And as he's walking, he hears Goliath talking. He's like, oh, God, your God is nothing. Your God is this. And then David's like, what? He's like, who's this guy talking about our God? Who is this guy? You just going to let him talk like that about your God, our God? And then, so David hands them off the food. He's like, so what are we going to do about this guy? And his brother hears him. He was like, what are you doing here? Because he's already jealous that he's been anointed. He's like, what are you doing here? He was like, you're just here to talk and watch the fight. And then David didn't even give him a response. He was like, okay. And then Saul heard what David was talking about how can you let him talk about our God like this. So he calls David over. And then so he calls David over. And then as David is speaking, he's like, I can take this guy. Let me take him. He's like, let me beat Goliath. Because I can't let him talk about my God like that. See how beautiful that is? He had no fear. If you look in the size of Goliath in the Bible, Goliath was 9 feet tall and 9 inches. He couldn't even fit in this church. That's how big he is. He couldn't come through the door. Goliath was huge. But David, he knew who was on his side. He knew who was on his side. He had no fear. You know, a lot of times, we're watching our sports on TV, football for the Haitians, you know. You guys like soccer, you know. And then some of us, we watch football. We watch our sports. And when our team is winning, we're like, oh, yes, yes, they got a point. You're happy. You're excited. But when you come to church, you're like, oh, hallelujah, hallelujah. You got to scream the name of the Lord. You got to be hallelujah. Praise God. Because God is on your side, right? That means you're never losing. Because God is a winning team. We're always winning. When are we losing? You ever heard God lost? No. God never loses. He's on our side. He's on our team. Why should we be afraid of anything? You see? So David, right? He's talking to Saul. And Saul's like, oh, you can't do that. You know, you're just a shepherd. David says, I'm just a shepherd? Just like I read this in 1 Samuel 17, 34 to 36. David was like, Saul, you didn't know when I was protecting my sheep? When a lion came, when a bear came to take my sheep, you didn't think I came to protect it? You didn't think I protected it? I had to chase after the lion. I had to chase after the bear. I had to strike it. And he says, I struck it, then I grabbed it by the hair. And I took the sheep from its mouth. Do you hear that? Let me read it for you guys again so you can understand it better. 1 Samuel 17, 34 to 36. Your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion or bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair, struck it, and killed it. Do you hear that? You know, David worked with a slingshot. You think a little rock is going to stop a bear or a lion to going? That's why God was on his side. God was on his side. He struck the lion. The lion turned around. And he says he got the sheep from the lion's mouth. And if it turned on him, he would grab it by its hair and he would strike it. Do you know how big a lion is? A lion is like 800 pounds. It's huge. It hits you with one hand, you're done. But you hear David seized it by its hair, struck it, and killed it. He probably had a little knife on him, and he would just cut it right off, cut his head off, cut the things off, and take the sheep from its mouth. You don't see how he had God with him? Saul's like, all right, I'll let you fight Goliath. And then so Saul tries to put his armor on him. It doesn't fit. But you see how God is showing like a little something? He's putting the armor of the king on David because he's soon to be king. But he's not ready yet. It's not time. See, the armor doesn't fit yet. The armor doesn't fit yet. It's not time. There's a process. So David's like, I can't wear this. I'm not used to it. Let me just get my 5 rocks, put it in my pouch. Let me get my slingshot. So David's going up and to fight Goliath. Let me read it. 1 Samuel 45 to 46. David said to the Philistine, you come against me with the sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I'll strike you down and cut off your head. This very day I will give the carcasses of the Philistine army to the birds and the wild animals, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel. As the Philistine moved closer to attack him, David ran quickly toward the line to meet him. You don't hear that? So a man 9 feet, 9 inches tall, and David has a slingshot with 5 smooth rocks. You know, a slingshot is an accuracy thing, you know? You take the rock and you have to sling it. You know, if I'm using a slingshot, you would expect David to take a step back, to get ready to aim at Goliath as he's coming toward him. But nah, that's not what he did, because he knew who he had on his side. He knew he had God on his side. It says David ran quickly toward the line to meet him. You see, the whole army of Israel, hundreds of thousands of men, tens of thousands, were scared of this one man, and they all took a step back. But David, who knew who had God on his side. See, it's not everybody who knows they have God on their side. It's not everybody, because we will be scared of the circumstances in front of us. We'll be scared of this mountain that's not even big in front of us because we have God on our side. How do you know God's not putting you there in that situation? God gives you opportunities. You see, the difference between an opportunity and how would I say it? Like, let's say, disadvantage. God will give you opportunity, and it's either you making greatness out of the opportunity that you're doing, because when David was a shepherd, that's where God had put him, right? He taught him how to use the slingshot. In that time, he taught him how to play the flute. When you read the book of Samuel, you see how God, it always says that God was with David. God was with David. God was with David. Why was God always with David? Because David was always with God. You understand that? You see that? God was always with David because David was always with God. God is a gentleman. You don't hear that verse where God will knock on the door. God is not just going to walk in and barge in and be like, here I am. He's not rude. He's a gentleman. He'll knock on the door, and if you answer, he'll come in. God wants you to fit him into your schedule. He wants you to have time for him. But if you're not going to have time for him, how will he be with you? How will you grow that friendship, that relationship? So David's in the middle of the field. He knows that he has God on his side. He got 5 stones. He took a step forward to meet Goliath at the line, because he knew he had on his side. He knew God was behind him. He took the stone, slung it, boom, hit Goliath right in his head. And Goliath fell with 1 shot, because there was the power of God, and it sunk in his forehead. And he just fell to the ground because God was on his side. You see how strong God is when you're on your side? This man, I used to wrestle. You know, sometimes I'm wrestling. You know, I'll talk a lot. I'll be like, I'm going to beat him. He ain't a big deal. You know, I'm going to beat him up. And then, but people don't know how nervous and scared I am inside. You know, I do the talking so that it can turn it down a little. So when I step in the ring and I'm going, you know, the guy's strong. And I'm just like, I don't know if I'm going to win this. And then I find that energy in me to win the match. You see? But a lot of times we forget where God has taken us from. You know? When I won the states of Rhode Island for wrestling, I think everybody except for God. You see? Every time, when God delivers you from something, you forget about him. You're like, oh, I'm good now. You know, forget God. You know, there were 10 lepers in a city. All of them were, you know, when you have leprosy, nobody wants to see you. You're outcasted from the city. You can't see your family. You can't see your friends. The only people that can be your friends now are the people with leprosy. And if you don't like one of them, oh well, that's who you're with now. You see, so they're outcasted. Nobody wants them in society. You got to understand what leprosy is. Nobody wants to see you. Nobody wants to be next to you. You have leprosy. It's contagious. You touch somebody, they get it too. Nobody wants to be around you. You have to be quarantined from the rest of the city. And this is not a way to live. Every time you have to come into a city, you have a bell. You have to ring it. to let people know that you're coming so they can run away from you. They don't want to be next to you. They don't want to get your sickness. You are outcasted. Nobody wants to be next to you. So they're going in the city. They go to Jesus. Oh, heal us, heal us. He was like, all right, go back to where you came from. Go to your house and you will be healed. The 10 lepers leave. They go back into their house. All of them are healed. How many return to go say thank you? Why? Only one. Only one of them came to say thank you to the Lord because he realized from where he had taken him from. He realized that he wasn't in a position to where that he was acceptable before, but now he can. He can go in society. He can go have fun. He can go spend time with his friends. But he realized that God had did something for him. Jesus had did something for him. David knew that he had did something for him when he helped him take out Goliath. He knew that God was on his side. And that guy, we got to remember to always thank God for everything. People don't realize what importance this is. People don't wake up every day. Like, I can't stress that enough. There's people who don't wake up today. You might have woke up today, but there's somebody somewhere else. About 10 people who didn't wake up today. Maybe even more, hundreds. But you're still breathing. Every breath you take is a blessing. You're so worried about, oh, God bless me, God bless me. You're living a blessing right now. You're breathing. Your family's with you. They're breathing. Every breath you take is a blessing because once that breath is taken, you're gone. You're gone. You're gone. You have your family who's breathing. You have you who's breathing. You have life in you. Thank God for the morning. You're like, God, you woke me up. I thank you because that's not a small thing. People don't wake up. People don't understand that. Sometimes for no reason, people will pass away. Short. Life like this, gone. Like I told you, my friend got into a car accident. She passed away. Her car flipped over, gone. She was done. I didn't say this, but a while ago, I got into a car accident. And I'm still here. Why? I could have died just like my friend. But God was on my side. He was protecting me. You see, I had to build a friendship with God. I had to call to God. Even though me and God's relationship wasn't that strong at that point, there was something. God was like, I see you're trying. There's a friendship that I want to build with you. Because God has great mercy. He has grace. Like sometimes a person who doesn't know you can bless you. Like a homeless on the side. Sometimes you feel in your heart, let me give him $1. You know, sometimes God will do you a favor, but you can't expect him to keep doing favors for you over and over again. You got to be like, God, I want to be your friend now. Because that's when he really starts working with you. When you know he's on your side. Oh, I don't have money to pay the house. I don't have money about this. But I know I'm going to keep praying. I know God's on my side. I don't have to worry about it. Because no matter where I go, God is going to be with me because I have time for him. You're going to have time for God in your life. So David killed Goliath. After that, he became a warrior. So David is killing everybody. You know, the ladies in the town are saying, David killed 10,000, Saul only 1,000. And then Saul hears this and he starts to hate David. Why does he hate David? Why does he hate David for? David has been fighting for you so that you can be saved. So that you can be protected. But people talking in his ear. Oh, you see, David, he's waiting to overthrow you. He's waiting to do this for you. You see, Saul was somebody David respected, who he loved. Saul had his son Jonathan. David was best friends with him. And you see, Saul was somebody he respected. You see, people always expect people to always do them wrong. But it's always the person closest to them. The person right next to them that you don't see the hit coming. You don't see that hit coming because you trust them. You love them. You have something deep for them in your heart. And then because people are talking, people are saying, because people are always going to talk behind your back. People are always going to say something. You're going to see your best friend start to hate you. Be like, oh, they did this. Oh, they talked about my hat behind my back. Because when I was in high school, a lot of times that happened. People would be best friends and they would hear, oh, she was talking about this about you. Do you know if it's true? No. They just get upset. They stop talking to their friend. They don't ask their friend nothing. They just get upset. Oh, you were talking about this to me, about that to me. And then they get upset and they start fighting. You don't see that? It's the closest person next to you that will attack you because people are opening their mouth. People are talking. So you have to understand that you have to be ready for when somebody's ready to attack you. Even if it's the closest person to you. Because the only person you have on your side is God. And on God's side, you're never losing. When God is on your side, you never lose. So David, Saul wants to kill him. David has to run away. David was in a cave because Saul was looking for David. And Saul had to take a piss. He had to go pee. So he goes in the cave. David sneaks up. David's friends are telling him, Kill him, David. Kill him. This is the perfect time to kill him. He doesn't see us. We're inside the cave. He's right there. Kill him. David was like, no, I can't do that. He is a man of God. God had placed him. I can't take his life. So David goes up behind him, cuts a piece of his robe. Saul doesn't even know. David backs away back into the cave. And then as David backs away into the cave, Saul goes out and he's with his army. He was like, Saul, you see, I don't know what people are telling you about me, what people are saying, but I don't want to kill you. I don't want to do anything to you. I love you. You're a man anointed by God. Why would I kill a man anointed by God? And he showed him that he cut a piece of his robe. And Saul was like, David, I'm sorry. You know, you've been good to me. You've been this to me. And he's like, all right, you can go. But those words didn't mean nothing. I was reading the book of Samuel. I didn't know that Saul went after David 3 times in a row. And I'm like, Saul, because I was reading my Bible. Like, I was reading Samuel. Me and Chris were going for a jog. And while we finished jogging, we opened up my phone and we started reading Samuel. And then I'm like, I thought I got lost in the Bible. I thought I missed my place because Saul just said, David, you're good. You can go. I won't chase after you no more. And I'm reading and I'm like, Saul's chasing after me? Did I miss something? Did I go backwards? And I'm looking for my place in the Bible and I'm like, wait a minute. And then I was reading it again in the morning when I woke up and I had prayer with my dad. And then I was like, oh my goodness. Saul really went after David again. And then after he just left him. And then this time, I believe it was when he was laying down in the camp looking for David. And David came up to him and he took like a jug and his spear. And then he left and he was like, Saul, you keep chasing after me. But I told you I'm not going to kill you. And then he shows it to him and he's like, oh. He's like, David, I'm sorry. I'm not going to come after you no more. You know? And then he comes after David again.
Wow.
And then after a while, Saul was just like, all right, David left. He was like, I know Saul's going to chase after me. He was like, we did this a couple times already. You know, Saul's definitely coming after me. And then so Saul gave up chasing David after the 3rd time. He gave up chasing David for a while. And then so this man, Saul was in the wartime against the Philistines, you know. So Saul is fighting, Saul's team is, because he's been disobeying God, going after David because he knows he's anointed to be king and stuff like this. So he's fighting the Philistines, God's causing him to lose. And then he sees that he's going to lose, so he asks one of his servants, kill me. Kill me, because I don't want them to torture me. And then the servant's like, no, I can't kill you, I can't kill you. You know, and then so Saul ends up killing himself. So the servant, you know, he wants to twist the story around a bit. He goes to David, thinking David is going to give him praise and all this stuff. He was like, I killed Saul. I killed Saul for you. He didn't kill nobody. Saul killed himself after you refused to. But he thinks he's going to get favor in David's eyes. And David was like, you proud of what you did? You think you did a good thing? You killed a man anointed by God? You think there's a reason that I haven't been killing him all this time? You don't know my spirit towards Saul? And he was like, kill this man. You see that? It's like crazy because after all this time, people keep telling David, kill Saul, and David keeps saying no. And this guy thinks he did a good thing by killing Saul, and he goes to him. Every person who touched the family of Saul got killed. David was so compassionate towards the man of God, who was a man of God, that he looked over his family. There was a man in Saul's family. David asked, is there anybody in Saul's family I can help? And there was this one guy who was crippled. You know, back in the day, they don't look highly upon crippled people. Anybody with like a sickness, mental disease, you know, they look really down on him. But David blessed him. He gave him riches. He gave the land that was Saul's to him. And he blessed him. Just because he was in the family of a man who he felt was anointed by God. Even though Saul had did everything wrong, David still seen him as a man of God, a place, because God will remove him, because he knew there was a process. He knew there was a process to being king. It took time. It took time, step after step. He didn't want to kill Saul. He killed so many people in his life, To the point where God said, build me a temple. And he was like, but you can't do it. You have too much blood on your hands. Make your son Solomon do it. You see? Because David had too much blood on his hands. He killed too many people. So he asked his son to do it. So you see, David, he was a person who killed a lot. But when he saw a man of God, he knew he couldn't do that. Even if God had forsaken him, he felt, oh, this is a man of God. And Saul did some crazy things chasing David. He killed priests. He killed so many people just to look for David. And it was scary. Like, I was like, how did Saul come from here to being anointed from God, being humble, and then slowly getting into pride? He got prideful. He got prideful in his journey, saying, oh, I'm the best. I need to be king. You see that? So you got to be humble. That's what I'm always asking God, because I'm a person, I have a lot of pride. Like, somebody will argue with me and I have to argue back because I have pride in myself. I believe in myself. I have so much confidence in myself. I believe, like, nothing can happen. I'm greater than you. Like, that's how I always think. But I'm always asking God, make me humble. There's a song that I love. It's like, bring me down. Bring me down. And then I always love listening to that song because it shows me how in my life I need to bring myself down. But it's hard. It's really hard not to be prideful. It's really hard. Like, people don't understand, like, when you think highly of yourself, when you think great of yourself, you don't think nobody's better than you. When it's hard to change your way of thinking. That's why we're always so stuck in sin. Because it's hard to change our way of thinking. It was just like when Paul said, I try so hard to do what is right, but every time I try to do the right thing, I find myself doing what is wrong. Even though I hate it. Because it's a way of thinking. You can't change your mind so easily. That's just how you think. But you want to change it. You want to do better. And for you to do that, you have to clean your mind. You have to rewire your mind. You know, like, when you do something for a long time. Like, you're at your job. You first start working the job. You're not sure what you're supposed to do. But you start working there a long time. And then you go there, you're doing everything fast now. Fast. New people come in, they ask you for your help. You're like, oh, you don't know how to do that? That's easy. And then, but you were struggling at a point. But because now you know how to do it, it's easier for you. Your mind is set to it. That's why you have to get, it's like brushing your teeth every morning. Unless you guys don't brush your teeth. I know you guys brush your teeth in the morning, every morning. You guys take a shower when you're sweaty, you're hot. It's that same consistency. You brush your teeth every morning, every night. It's the same way you pray every morning, you pray every night. Sometimes I feel like my breath is hot before I go out in the day. I'm like, let me brush my teeth. You know? You have to feel that same urge to praise God. You have to feel that same, oh, I don't feel comfortable. I feel hot. I feel sweaty. I stink. Let me go take a shower. That's the same way before you leave the house. Like, I don't feel comfortable. I didn't pray to God that I'm leaving the house yet. You know, I don't feel comfortable. Let me go back inside and pray. That's that same consistency. It has to be a habit. What you do repeatedly becomes a habit. That's what Aristotle says. He says, what you do repeatedly becomes a habit. There was a story that I like a lot. It's between a scorpion and a frog. The scorpion wanted to cross the river, but scorpions can't swim. So he asked the frog, can you help me over to get to the other side of the river, you know, and stuff like that? And he was just like, but if I help you, you're going to sting me. He was like, but if I sting you, I'm going to drown too, because if you go down, I go down. So this frog's like, you're right. And then so he's like, get on my back. And then so he's bringing him across the river. Scorpion stings him. And the frog is like, why did you sting me? He was like, I'm sorry. It's my nature. You don't see that? So many times, when the Bible says be born again, get saved through faith, you know all these things, that's to change your nature, to be born again. That's why they say being born again, because right now your nature is sin. Your nature is sin. You need to commit yourself to God. You need to get baptized. You need to be blessed in His name so that you can change your nature. You have to start putting a foot forward to doing what He's doing to change your nature. Because that's how the scorpion was raised. He was raised by the same scorpions that he was with to sting stuff that are not his kind. You see that? He said, it's my nature. When are you going to change your nature? You see, David, he was a man of God. His nature never changed. And when he did something out of his nature, he was so regretful about it. When David, you know, I love David. David did a lot of bad things too. But the thing about him was he had a sincere heart. When he prayed to God, he meant it. You know, you can lie to anybody. Sometimes you can be a good liar. You're like, Pastor, you know I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to do this for you. And then he really thinks you're going to do it, and then you don't do it. You can fool other people, but you can't fool God. God is the one person you can't fool. You can pray to God and be like, oh, God, I'm going to change. Because after a blessed service, you're going to be like, oh, God, thank you for blessing me. You know, I'm going to start fixing my life after the service and stuff like this. And then when you go home, you start doing it. You start doing it for the first day, first 3 days, the first week. And you start to make deals with yourself. Oh, I'm going to do this one last time. And then I'm going to change. You start finding yourself, because it's addiction. Sin is an addiction. You love doing sin. Like, sin is like a drug. You want to keep doing it. Like, you know, like, I have a lot of friends. They'll go into a relationship, and the guy is being not right to her. And she'll be like, I can't leave. Because they're addicted to the pain. They're addicted to how the person treats them. They're addicted to what the person is doing to them. They're addicted to that pain. They feel like they can't leave. Because they love that person. Why do they love them? They're doing wrong to them. There's something in that nature. It's just like sin. It's a nature that it's hard to leave from. But you gotta cut ties with sin. You don't know that song by Tasha Cobbs, Break Every Chain? Because they're chains. You think it's easy to break a chain when it's against the wall and it's holding you when you're tied to something? It's not easy to break a chain. It still links. Only with the power of God can you break them. With God, knowing God is on your side, can you rip them off. You got to change your way of thinking. That's why we're so stuck in sin. We're so stuck doing the same things that we were doing before, trying to change. The same people you hang out with can't be the same people you hang out with tomorrow if you're trying to change. Because the people you hang out, you are the product of your environment. The people you hang out with make up who you are. If somebody's doing drugs and all this stuff, why are you hanging out with him? Why? You don't do drugs. When somebody sees him and they know that he's always smoking, doing all this stuff, what are they going to think of you? Oh, he probably smokes. You know? Like, I'll be with my friends. I don't talk to them as much. But, you know, I still have love for them. You know, they're always smoking, and then I'll go somewhere with them and be like, oh, you smoking? And I'll be like, no. They'll be like, oh, I thought you smoked because, you know, you were branded. You know? But that's not your nature. Why are you with these type of people if that's not who you are? You got to put yourself around the same people that you want to be with. The person that you want to be. You want to be successful? Find ways to be with successful people. If you find, a lot of times in school, my friend is like, I want to get my grades up, I want to do this, and I'm telling them, why aren't you? And then they'll be like, I don't know, it's so hard. I'll be like, no, your friends are trying to keep you in the same spot as them. They're trying to hold you back because they know they're not going to do any better, so they want to hold you back too. That's true. They want to keep you in the same spot. They'll be like, I'm not going to graduate, but, you know, so-and-so's not going to graduate either, and that's so-and-so, because they want to keep you with them. Because you hang around them. They'll be like, they'll text you, be like, oh, let's skip class. Let's leave school. Let's go here. And you'll be like, all right, because those are your friends. You want to follow them. You should build a friendship with them. You need to build a friendship with God. These people are not going to lead you in the right direction. Like, I talk to my friends. I'll be like, when people tell you this, don't do that. One of my friends actually thanked me. He was like, Isaac, without you, I wouldn't have gotten my diploma. I owe it to you. And when he said that to me, that really touched my heart. Like, I was really about to cry. I told him, man, I love you. I want to see you succeed because I don't want to succeed on my own. If you're my friend, I want you to succeed with me. I want to reach new heights. Like, I always say, because there's a common thing that most people say, be like, oh, I'm going to change them. They're not going to change me. But you know, when there's so many bad people around you, you start to change. Your mentality starts to change. You don't even notice it because you think it's yourself. You think it's you doing it. You start cursing a little. You're like, oh, it's not that bad. You know, when I'm around my family, when I'm around other people, I can stop cursing. But when you're a friend, it's uncontrollable. You start saying F and this. Oh, you're trash and all that other stuff. You just start cursing out of nowhere because that was a nature you grabbed from somewhere. Your mind got set to it without you even knowing. That's true. The music you listen to, the stuff that you feed into your brain. It's like eating. When you eat bad food, what is it going to do to your body? It's going to destroy your body. Your heart is going to start having problems. You're going to start having high blood pressure, cholesterol, because you're feeding your body what's wrong. You feed your body what's good. You're healthy. You feel better. You feel like you can move. You feel like you can do anything. Like, there's sometimes, like, I haven't gone to the gym in months. And then I'll go to the gym. I go for the first week. I feel a lot of free. I feel like I can do anything. And then once you keep getting that consistency, you can start taking steps farther. You can go longer than you used to go. You can start lifting more than you used to lift because you kept the consistency. That's why you have to keep consistency with God, because you have to show that He's on your side. See, David always knew that God was on his side. When David killed his friend Uriah because he saw his wife taking a shower naked, and he was like, "Who is this woman? Get her." And they told her, "Oh, that's the friend of Uriah." So David didn't even care. He was like, "I'm going to lay with her." He lay with her. She tells him, "I'm pregnant." And so he calls Uriah from the war. And he's like, "Oh, sleep with your wife. Sleep with your wife." And stuff like that. He was like, "How can I sleep with my wife when my brothers are at war? I can't leave them to battle by themselves. I can't leave them to be in this war. I can't let them stay down while I'm over here. I need to help them battle that need to be with your team." Like, I quit wrestling for my first year of college because I didn't want to do it. But seeing my brothers wrestle made me want to be more involved. It was like, excuse me, I want to wrestle. I want to do that. I want to be a part of it. And then it made me want to wrestle again. To the point where I would be somewhere and I would just start doing the moves. Because that was a piece of me. It was like my brothers are fighting, but I'm here doing nothing. I'm just watching them. And that need in my heart to battle was in there. And I was like, let me in, let me wrestle. But I'm not a part of the team because I chose not to be. You see? I quit my senior year. I quit football twice. I quit, and then I missed my brothers. It's like I can't play without them. I miss playing with the team. I went back. But when I went back, it was like everybody was arguing, so I left again. But even when I left again, I still feel that need to go back. That's what Uriah felt. He was like, I need to be with my brothers. They're fighting. They're fighting for their lives. And I could have saved one of their lives. But I'm here right now. So he waited for David to send him back. He stayed in front of the castle, just laying on there in the front, waiting for David to tell him to go back. And then David calls and tells the leader of the war, send Uriah to the front of the lines so that he can die. And then he kills him so that he can have his wife. Then Nathan, the priest at that time, goes to David, and he was like, David, I got to tell you something. There was a man who has a multitude of sheep. He has hundreds of sheep. But he saw this man with only one sheep. And he took it and cut it and killed it and ate it. What should we do with this man? David was like, kill him at once. And he was like, but David, it's you. You had many wives, many concubines. But you saw this man with one wife, and you took it from him, and you got him killed. And David, he had a sincere heart. He knew what he had done was wrong. When they said it to his face, sometimes you'll do something wrong, then you'll feel bad about it, but then you'll go do it again. David didn't do that. Every time David did something wrong, he would go into fast and prayer. They said, David, your son is born, he's sick. And David would cry and fast every morning when the baby died. They're like, David was happy now because he knew God had answered his prayer. Everybody's like, David, why are you happy now? Why are you good? Your son was sick, now he's good, and now you're happy? Because he knew that he did something wrong. He knew his position with God. And he knew that he had to keep fasting and praying for God to answer his prayer. And he knew God had answered his prayer when he took his son away. Because he knew he did something wrong. We have to know when we do something wrong. There's John 1:1. It says, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and God was the Word. And if you continue to read John, the Word is Jesus. And that's what we have to keep having in our lives, Jesus. And that Word is also the book that he gives us, the Bible. We have this Bible as a guidebook, a guideline to follow. You don't see David, he said in Psalms 119:11, he says, I keep the Word hidden in my heart so that I may not sin against you. You see, you keep that word in your heart so that you don't sin against God. But what's keeping the word in your heart? What's keeping that word in your heart? What is that? What is that? Do you know what that is? It's not only knowing the word, because it says the devil knows scriptures too. He can have all those words. The devil knows the Bible like the back of his hand. So when you say something, he knows it already. You see, it's because you have to apply it to your life. You don't only know it, but you apply it. You have to apply it to your life. It says, don't do this, don't do that. Just don't do it. It's simple. It's simple but so hard because of everything around us. The people that you're hanging out with. They're not doing the same thing you're trying to do. You have to find people that are trying to do what's around you to do. Like, I try so hard to stop listening to my music. But when I'm around a certain crowd, I play that music. Because that's the kind of music they listen to. I don't want them to feel uncomfortable in my car. You know? So I start playing rap music. I start playing this kind of music. Sometimes I listen to it for myself because I'm in that kind of mood. And Chris was like, Isaac, I told you told me to tell you when you listen to that kind of music to not listen to it. And I'll be like, I know, I just want to listen to it for right now. You know, you have to set yourself upon people who want the same goals as you. That will push you to move forward in God. Because if you're in the same place with God that you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 1 year ago, you're doing something wrong. Because the point of being born again is you start at a baby, then you get to a kid, you get to a teenager, a young adult, you become an older an adult, then you become a senior citizen. You get older. You get older in God. You know, my grandpa, he forgets a lot of things. Because he's old now, he's 98. He starts forgetting things. He starts doing stuff like a kid. Like he starts touching stuff. You're like, why are you touching it, Grandpa? And he's like, Tony. And then I'm like, why? And then, but the one thing he's never forgotten is God. Every time I see him before he eats, he prays on it first. Every morning he wakes up, he raises his hands, thanking the Lord. Before he goes to sleep, he raises his hand. Sometimes in the day, he'll just pray. Because that was a nature that he built within himself. Even though he's old and forgets a lot of things, there's one thing he never forgets, and that's God. Because God is on his side. Amen. Let me show you. I love David, because David was a man who felt that he had God on his side, but David wasn't the only one. There was my guy Daniel and his friends. One of the first instances was Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And Daniel 3:17-25. So the king of that time, he had been a statue. And once the music sounded, you would have to bow down to the statue. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, those were Daniel's friends, they were like, oh, I can't bow down to the statue. This is not my God, I can't do that. And then so, even though they said that you would die if you did not bow your head to the statue, they didn't care because they knew who they had on their side. You know, there's something that I love that they say. Because when the king was upset with them, he was like, oh, send them in the furnace. Let me read it for you because it's beautiful. All right, so they said in Daniel 3:17-5, they said, if we are thrown in the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to deliver us from it, and he will deliver us from your majesty's hand. But even if he doesn't, we want you to know, your majesty, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold you have set up. You see, they didn't care what happened to them because they knew they were serving their God. They knew God was on their side. They was like, God will deliver me. But if he doesn't, then so what? I will still not serve your gods because my God is the one and true God. He was like, even if I die now, it was God's plan. If I don't die now, it's still God's plan. And when they went near the fire to bring them up to the fire, the people who were bringing them to the fire got burned. And they burned. And then the three went to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They went into the fire. And then the king wasn't sure. He was like, did we send 3 people into the fire? Why do I see 4? And one of them looked like an angel. And then it was just like, oh, their God is great. Their God is wonderful. And then they got him from the fire, and it was like, wow, you didn't burn. Because they knew who they had on their side. God was on their side. They built that relationship. You see, Daniel, later, the king loves Daniel. But they made another thing where, oh, you can't pray to any other God but the God that they have. But the king loved David. But the guys that was working with the king didn't like David. So they made this because they knew David couldn't resist to pray. Because that was a part of his nature. You see that? Daniel had a certain nature to where he was so good with God that he wanted to praise him, that he wanted to be a part of him, that it was so uncomfortable not to pray to God. Because like when Daniel had to pray and then they saw Daniel praying in the window Because Daniel knew it's the law not to pray. Daniel's walking back and forth. He's like, I don't feel comfortable not praying. I'm going to pray. And he's praying in the window. And the people saw him. It was like, Lord, King, Lord, there's somebody who wasn't following the rules. And it was like, who is it? Killed him at once. And it was like, it was Daniel. He was like, oh, Daniel? It was like, King, you can't go back on your word. You made it law. You have to kill him. The king. He's right. And then so he gets Daniel. And as Daniel's about to go into the, he's like, may your God protect you. And then he went inside. Daniel wasn't scared. The Bible doesn't say anywhere where Daniel was scared. Daniel was like, I'm about to go into the lion's den. Okay. He walked right in there because he knew that God was on his side. And when he went inside the lion's den, the lions shut their mouths. It said God had made them shut their mouths. And they lied down and made a bed for Daniel. And he laid on the lions. And then the king comes back and he opens it. He's like, Daniel! He was like, don't worry, king. You know I have God. You know I'm good. I'm good. I came out fine. Because God was on his side. How many of us are going to change our nature? Make God our friend. And have him on our side. Because with God on our side, we never lose. We never fall. We are always on top. That's why when we come to church, we have to say hallelujah. Say it with me. Hallelujah. 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 You're not loud enough. Hallelujah. You got to be happy to praise him because your side is never losing. It's like that favorite team you like to watch. When you're watching your soap operas and something happens, you're like, it's your person. That's your guy. God is your person who's always on your side. And that's the message for today. Have God on your side. Change your nature. Let him have you. Give everything. Withhold nothing. And that's it. Amen.
Say amen. Let the church say amen. God has spoken. Let the church say amen.
Oh, Pastor Leon is not loud, but he's happy. There's difference between people loud and be happy. He's happy. I'm happy. Grandpa is happy. The son, that's a preacher we got here. May God bless you, my son, and keep working with you for the glory of Jesus. We'd like to welcome everybody here this morning, and not even he's preaching, but he's inviting people also, wherever he is. And this morning he was talking to me about a friend we have here for the first time, and we saw them a Providence.
Well, I saw somebody in Providence Mall and then they referred to me.
Yeah.
Next to me.
So, could you please stand up and introduce yourself to the church?
Yeah, my name is Julie. I usually go to the Baptist church in Cranston, but I wanted to come to a church where there's a youth ministry so my son can participate. His name is Sean.
All right. I'm so glad to have you this morning, and I know that God has spoken, and you heard his voice too. So I'm glad. Welcome. Spring City Baptist Church of Rhode Island, every second Sunday of the month, we have a program 100% in English. We are also Haitian, and we speak Creole and French. And we also service in Creole, French, English, Spanish, and sometimes we say some word in Chinese too. So, but when we're gonna go to heaven to live with our God, there will be only one tongue. And all of us will be able to understand one another. Amen. Once again, welcome to our church. We have activities here every week. On Thursday evening, we have on prayer meeting house to house and Bible studies there. And on Sunday morning, we have a worship service at 10:30. But just now, 11 o'clock, because of the class, baptism class we have at 10 o'clock. I'm talking about baptism class. I saw the people at Lake and Woods, and they made me apply for some time because there's so many people go there for the summer, and we gotta be there in the morning, early in the morning. So we are scheduled to be there on July 8th. The service, baptism service will be held at 7 o'clock a.m. So we need to leave. That's not too far from here. It's about less than 10 minutes to be there from here. So we plan to leave at 6:30. So to be there by 7:45 or before, and by then to get prepared and get ready to go closer to the water, and it's going to be 7 o'clock. So we have to leave the place before 8 o'clock, but we know that we're going to leave before 7, by 7:30 or 7:40. So parents and church members make a plan to be with us for the baptism. We got four believers who would like to get baptized. So we have class with them, and we're going to be there on July 8th. So make a plan to be there with us, please. We are so glad to see Pastor Cayo Senior. No, the Cayo, c'est ça? 98 ans. Donc, le soleil est très haut. Donc, nous comprenons. Nous pensez autrement pour les là. Donc, you can hear me. We are glad. We are very glad to see you, Pastor. Pastor Leo, you know our heart. We love you. We love your family. And God bless you. Okay? I'm very glad to see you also. And Elizabeth is not here this morning. She is in Florida for the bachelor party. You know, she's gonna get married on July 14, and friends and family members spend some money for her to have a good time. That's all. Young people. When I was married, I didn't even know bachelor. There's no, I don't know if they have that nowadays, but now that's the time. And young people, before they married, they have bachelor party for the men, and then bachelor party for the female. If they want to, they have one. But she's there. She going to return to now, so pray for her. And at the time for her to have a good time, very happy, you know. And we will have a second wedding on July 26, a Friday. And we are glad to have Emmanuel and his fiancée, and also working hard to accomplish their will and their dream to get together. So, and I'm glad that they choose me to be the person to perform the wedding in Georgia. So, wait for them and they prepare for the time to come. So, it's good for the Bible tells the youth, it's better to get married than to live freely. So they are young, we encourage them to do good things. So God be with you guys. Okay, so it's time now for the offering, and I'm gonna ask for the we will Fenelon to pray for us before we receive the offering. The way we do that here, and then everybody must stand up and bring your offering and throw it down into the basket, and for to continue to work and to build the kingdom of the Lord. So let us pray. What do you do? Oh, okay. Okay. 1 second. And thank you, Sister Holly. And we are visitor come. And the brother here come to Christ Knock. Can you please stand up? And come back. It's a little bit Creole français, toute langue. Donc, vous introduire à l'église qui est souillé. De passage. Ok, sorti Haïti. Et vous dites de passage. Donc, bienvenue ici à Rhode Island, le petit État de l'Union. Quand vous visitez Rhode Island, c'est le plus petit État dans tous les États-Unis. C'est Rhode Island, au point de vue géographique, qui est le plus petit, qui a moins de terre. Donc, pendant de ce qu'on vit, il n'y a pas de moins. Donc, bienvenue. Merci. Okay. So let us pray. No. Everybody, friend and church members, will you please pray for us for the offering before we receive?
Yes. Father God, we thank you for this Sunday morning for the King to worship you. We thank you for this beautiful Sunday that we see from Isaiah. I know that he works hard to stay at your to your son, to your can bless him. Who can be with him not only right now, but as he goes along with his journey, where he wants to put your word and also invite people to understand your word and be with your word. We thank you for allowing us not only to be here this morning, but also to have this knowledge that in our heart we can try to understand your word. We can really dive into them and see different ways that we do need you, even though we face some difficult time in our lives, but you are that you are with us. Even though we can see that the difficulties can come like the lions or the fires that we are forming, but we know that we understand that you are with and you are guiding us to do all of it, Father God. So we ask that you can now be blessed and also bless the money that we're going to receive for your church. We know that for this to go forward, for this to reach other souls, we need the money that is part of it. And we ask that whatever we put in today, we can multiply it so that we can not only do this work, but also do others for and help others that are in need. We ask that we feel that we can be better than others. We ask you in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. today. Oh, that's my best friend here.
Come on.
Caleb. That's my Caleb?
Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy It's so good. Okay, so we're gonna be finished very soon, and once again, I invite all of you to keep coming to worship with us. It's not only English, and sister, you speak Creole language. Okay, so we got other services in the languages, and your son, we got already young here, and then they can very quickly put it in the circle, you know, and then they'll be happy to be with us. So if God put that in your mind, we'll be glad to see you again.
Amen.
All right. So.
So the last song we're going to be singing, we're going to be singing Blessed Assurance.
Good one. Good one. One more thing before I leave. Don't forget the revival, the week revival at the Church of God. Tonight, the last evening. So those who didn't have a chance to go, if you are available tonight, and don't miss that, because that's very good. And I was there for most of the evening, and I know some of the church members here, they were there almost every night. So if you have a time tonight at 7 o'clock, this last evening, Church of God, El Buram, the last evening for the revival.
Okay, so we're going to be singing Blessed Assurance. So if everybody can stand up for our last song.
This is
Pastor Cayo, could you please pray final prayer for us? Dieu puissant, nous remercions nous devons à soi. Et nous remercions au Seigneur du fait que tu as utilisé l'homme ça pour être capable de parler et pour être capable de reconforter, fortifier et exhorter, Seigneur, les jeunes pour nous faire nous partir et pour capable de prendre contrôle et sortir que nous ne pas peur. On est que bon Dieu lui côté là. Moi, je vous remercie de façon pour aider à exprimer et pour être capable de délivrer. Moi, je demande au Seigneur, Père, selon grande miséricorde, pour bénir chaque monde qui est là matin. Ça fait quitter l'activité, ça fait vivre dans la présence, pour te bonne gloire. On te quitter l'activité naturelle que nous gagnons. Et vous êtes capable de venir, pour une place spéciale dans la vie. Vraiment, nos pères, pour ne pas seulement marquer, mais pour chaque jour dans la vie, chaque minute, chaque seconde, pour nous faire bon Dieu qui garde your side, de sorte que nous connaissons que we don't have to scare or fear, because God is on their side. Merci Seigneur du fait pour message. Merci pour le confort. Merci Seigneur pour chaque monde qui visite nous. Nous ne pas bénir. Et Seigneur, mettez sous cœur le désir. Pour venir pour partir de nous. Reconforter tout message pour le Seigneur. Alléluia. Afin que l'évangile ne soit pas moins annoncé parmi tout le monde dans Rhode. Nous le Seigneur vous bénisse. Je vous envoie ainsi au nom de Jésus. Amen.
Oh,
to Pastor Cayo Sr. for the benediction. Receive the benediction for Pastor Senior.
Benediction.
Yeah, just and receive it from the man of 98 years old. Close your eyes. Receive it, please.
Et maintenant, recevez la bénédiction du Seigneur. Que la paix de Dieu qui surpasse toute intelligence garde votre cœur, votre pensée, votre activité à Jésus-Christ, le Seigneur.
Amen.
Amen. We receive it.